Welcome to the Tesla Economist. Please hit the thumbs up and remember to subscribe. You can also follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon. If 40 million electric vehicles is possible by 2025, which is what Cathie Wood is predicting, and Elon somewhat agreeing, then I think it's also possible Tesla could have over 25% market share of EVs by this stage. Tesla's current global market share for EVs is already around 21%, and Tesla are about to quadruple their capacity just within the next couple of months, and then increase their capacity significantly again after that, particularly with a Model 2 factory. Tesla are on a trajectory to ramp up more than any other EV company. Tesla somewhat set a 50% annual growth target for the rest of the decade. Just because some of the other companies have accelerated their EV production lately doesn't mean that they can continue on the same level of growth as Tesla forever, and especially not for the whole decade. But look, battery constraints are the major issue that we face for growth. Yes, we have chip shortages currently, but that will only be temporary and hopefully sorted well within 2 years. Although it is a bigger issue for legacy autos who are already closing down plants, which may mean it frees up more chips for Tesla anyway. But Elon thinks that the global semiconductor shortage is just short term and should be sorted next year. Only just during the Italian Tech Week, Elon said, "There's a lot of chip fabrication plants that are being built." He then added, "I think we will have a good capacity for providing chips by next year," which is a big deal, leaving mainly battery constraints and physical production constraints in growing the business, as it looks like there is no demand constraint. And as for batteries, CATL is stepping up in a big way. Tesla are their biggest customers. CATL's target for 2025 is 1,200 gigawatt hours a year. That's enough for about 25 million Tesla Model 2s. Remember, along with other suppliers, Tesla also have their own batteries on top of that too, which can scale up a lot faster than anyone else's due to the dry battery electrodes and tabless design. Tesla's cars are unlikely to be battery constrained by 2025. They can build as many cars as the factory capacity allows. More production lines and shifts can be added to Shanghai and Fremont factories, and further ramping is possible, maybe even double the current run rates. And that's with existing processes. Tesla can produce a standard range Model Y from most likely all factories. These might come in around a $40,000 to $45,000 price point without any incentives and will sell like crazy. By 2025, possibly even up to 300 miles of range at that price point. It's just going to be so much car that consumers will find the money. They'll make sacrifices in other places in their lives. If they can, they'll borrow money. They can account for the interest on gas savings. These cars are going to sell, not to mention all the additional technology we might expect in 4 years' time, not even mentioning FSD. Anyway, what are we saying here? 40 million EV sales a year, with Tesla having a 25% market share, means they're selling 10 million units a year. So I thought it might be interesting to see how much Tesla's auto business might be worth if they achieve this, and it's possibly by 2025. Oh, that's the same year as ARK's price target too, except they also included robotaxis. Although I think robotaxis is possible by then, I want to value the auto business just with FSD. So let's see if we can estimate how much the car business will be worth in 2025 if they're achieving 10 million units a year and exclude energy and the other sides of the business, which ARK also excluded. Okay, well let's start by breaking these sales down, and let's assume for argument's sake all Model 2s are only sold to the public, and we're talking about 2025. I want to be realistic in this valuation, or at least what I feel is realistic. In other words, by 2025, I think Level 5 autonomy has been achieved. I want to price FSD into this, but we'll just hold back on the robotaxis for now. In other words, FSD is worth $10,000 or $200 a month, and just about everyone is going to pay for it, because it's absolutely incredible. Let's leave out the semi-truck and Roadster for now, but we can include the Cybertruck. I'm cherry-picking here somewhat, but Roadster is not a major part of the company. Semi-truck could be huge though, but I'd rather value that on its own another time, which means these numbers I'm going to come up with could be higher if we factored those in. We're going to work with all the factories that have been mentioned and are in current development, which is Fremont, Shanghai, Berlin, Texas, and the next factory, presumably for Model 2. By 2025, Fremont could hit 1 million a year, Shanghai 1 million, Berlin 1.5 million, Texas 2.5 million, and Model 2, 4 million. I really think Berlin and Texas could be higher, especially by 2025, but we're only limiting ourselves to 10 million cars, so it's got to be broken up somehow. And yes, we are somewhat alluding this will happen in 2025, but even if it's 26 or 2027, sales might still be split up in a similar proportion of models. In other words, we're working out a valuation of what Tesla's automotive business is worth when it hits 10 million annual deliveries, and we're saying that this may happen in 2025, but likely will inevitably happen, Even if you don't think it happened until 2030, that's still a lot more optimistic than most Wall Street analysts think. So let's give this a quick valuation. I've broken up the models from each factory the way I think it might roughly be proportioned. We're projecting 4 years into the future, so it's going to be rough. I really only do these models for indicative purposes only, just to see what kind of direction we are headed and how well things can potentially go. Anyway, I've used the average selling prices of roughly what they are today. We're not factoring in any inflation. This gives us $326 billion in revenue for car sales. I've also updated FSD. In this scenario, we're going to say that by 2025, FSD has reached level 5 autonomy. Therefore, no deferred revenue from FSD. 100% of the sale goes to profit. We're just going to ignore the subscription models for simplicity and assign a one-off $10,000 value on any FSD. However, subscription model may mean the car generates more revenue than that over time, and roughly half of all customers are ordering FSD. And it comes to nearly $30 billion. Even at level 5 autonomy, FSD is still only about 1/10 the revenue of auto sales, but it's still pretty much all profit, giving us a total revenue of $350 billion. We'll ignore regulatory credits as I'm not sure they'll be around by 2025, but I would like to see at least a 30% profit margin by 2025, possibly even much higher. Anyway, ignore energy and the other sides of the business, giving us a total gross profit of $106 billion. But I have included R&D and selling general and admin with significant increases. Anyway, with a PE ratio of 30, we get $2.2 trillion valuation when we're at 10 million units a year, which is a stock price of around $2,250, or approximately 3 times what we're trading at today. But remember, Tesla are aiming for 20 million units a year by 2030, so this production rate may still double again before the end of the decade, hence a PE ratio of 30 on an auto business. There's also the robotaxi business, which has insane potential economics. Robotaxis are really just like a lottery ticket. If Tesla managed to pull them off, then the stock price could reach anything. And of course, all the other sides of the business remain too, which could be equally lucrative. Some of you may think P ratio of 30 is low, but this is just a valuation of the auto business, not a valuation of Tesla in general. And we're excluding the robotaxi side of it too, which is where a potentially high PE ratio may derive. I also think Tesla can get their profit margins higher than 30%, so the valuation could be argued as higher. This is actually fairly close to ARK Invest 2025 price target too. They think $3,000 stock price, but in their models they are including robotaxis. As far as I can tell, if robotaxis end up being as good as they could potentially be, then Tesla's stock price should be in 5 figures, or multiples of 5 figures. Yes, for those ridiculous Tesla valuations, it has to come down to robotaxis or AutoBidder. Selling energy storage and autos alone will be tough to get a higher stock price than $10,000 without them. And sure, possibly robots could be another product that takes us there too. Yes, it will be exciting to see how close we are with robotaxis in perhaps just a few years, but the main thing to concentrate on first is batteries and production. Even if Tesla achieve level 5 autonomy, it's no good if we don't have enough cars out there in the fleet. I would also have expected Tesla to have at least 2 more factories operational by 2025. In this model, we've only allowed 1, as we're limiting ourselves to a 10 million capacity. As for the production numbers from all these factories, I'm fairly happy with those numbers by 2025. I feel like they're not too optimistic, whilst at the same time we have 4 more years to achieve that. With this new factory looking like it will be announced sometime soon, then 2025 could see all existing factories and this new one fully ramped up. Remember, 4 years' time, look how much ramping up has happened in China in just the last 6 months. And we're talking about 4 years' time with 3 more gigantic factories from what we have now. 10 million vehicles by 2025 is more than a possibility in my opinion. At the end of the day, it's very simple. Does Tesla's factories have enough capacity? Yes. Will there be enough batteries for 10 million vehicles a year? Yes. Will other components be an issue then? Probably not likely. And will there be 10 million consumers wanting a new Tesla every year? You bet. Anyway, like I said, this is just the auto business, but if that alone achieves a multiple trillion-dollar valuation, well, I'm still happy. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.